Hey guys, Zane here. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the issue of critical thinking, what it is, why it's important, and particularly for those in academic environments. I talk a lot about language skills, but language skills alone aren't enough to allow you to thrive in an academic environment. You need to adopt a specific mindset toward how you view things in your studies. Education in Asian countries specifically encourages memorization, and memorization is a great skill, but it's just that, it's a skill. Particularly for those in the social sciences and humanities, having a mindset based on critical thinking can really set you apart from the crowd and give you a huge advantage in your scholarly work. When you're in university or grad school, it's quite common for someone to ask you, "What are you studying?" or "What is your research about?" As simple as this question may sound, the answer may vary greatly depending on who you're talking to and what situation you're in. When developing a mindset based on critical thinking, an issue of key importance is distinguishing empirical facts from concepts and ideas. Empirical information is specific and concretely talks about something happening in a specific time and place. Basically, when you tell a story about something that happened, that's empirical information. Concepts and ideas exist in theory and are generally applicable to things that happen anywhere and at any time. If any of you are still struggling to figure out what exactly critical thinking is, let me give you a little example. I can still remember back in 2012 when I first came to Taiwan, which seems like a long time ago now, the basketball player Jeremy Lin in the United States exploded in popularity after he was scouted to the New York Knicks. Virtually every guy in Taiwan went out and bought themselves a Jeremy Lin jersey, and he was the talk of the town. Everybody was crazy about him, and he became kind of a cultural symbol, specifically for Asian Americans and even for people here in Taiwan and China. A few months ago, I saw a news story about Jeremy Lin online. The news reported that Jeremy Lin was going to play for a basketball team in Beijing. So when you see the headline and I ask you all, what is this story about? How would you answer? A lot of you would probably say Jeremy Lin, basketball, China, Beijing, or something like that. However, an academic would probably have a different perspective on this, and it would greatly depend on what major or what field they're in. A political scientist or a geographer might say this is an issue of the geopolitics of a sport, or ethno-nationalism intersects with sports fandom. A sociologist, on the other hand, would probably be more concerned with the human reaction toward this story, and how organizations capitalize on ethnicity as a source of legitimacy. Also, we have to keep in mind that the academic perspective is not always appropriate in every social situation. If you're surrounded by a group of friends, unless they're academics that is, you might not want to analyze every detail of the story from an academic perspective and simply just tell them what happened in a more simple, empirical way. However, an academic mindset is nothing that you're born with. It's something that requires training and usually would require you to read a lot of books and have a lot of different ideas about how people in different fields of academia view things. This is specifically true for those who are doing interdisciplinary work. Critical thinking is also a great skill for everybody in society. It gets us to question things, not take things for granted in the world, which is an extremely important skill, and will allow you to think about the world from a different perspective. Also, from my experience, critical thinking is not something that's taught specifically in universities. Professors will usually not assume that you already know how to think in that way or have that perspective. It's something that you kind of have to cultivate on your own. If you feel that you're struggling to think in a critical way and use the kind of language that your professors and other more senior academics do, that's completely normal. Most people who start out in university or in a master's degree or even a PhD often find themselves viewing situations and designing their research around very empirical topics. However, as you advance in your studies, you're going to find yourself thinking about things and viewing things in more conceptual and analytical ways. Once you're able to connect larger themes and concepts in your research with things happening in other contexts that seem unrelated on the surface, that's a sign that you are starting to think in a more critical and analytical way. Just like the Jeremy Lin story I just told you, if you can pull an idea or a concept that has a deep underlying meaning out of a simple news story, that shows that you're on the right track. But remember, it might not be the right way of thinking or the right thing to say in every social situation. I wish you guys the best. If you have any questions or comments about critical thinking, please leave a comment below and I'd be happy to answer you and give you some ideas and some feedback. In future videos, I plan to talk more about language learnings, living and studying abroad, as well as other academic stuff. Have a good day. See you next time. Bye.